Welcome to another episode of Angels, Positivity and Love. Incredible guests the world over with amazing insights. They've often been through their own journey and they're often giving service to others. Whether they're an international bestseller, a healer from one of the 25 countries we've had on, a show host, or other. We've had doctor, psychologist, a White House physician to the US president, the youngest Delta Force operator ever admitted who studied naturopathy later on and many other diverse types of experts on. A Miss USA, an Oprah Super Soul Sunday guest, an Oprah Super Soul 100 teacher in Sweden. Just amazing folks. Today, super special fellow from Pennsylvania, show host of the Typical Skeptic Podcast, almost 20,000 now for his audience. He's been kind enough to have me as a guest twice on the show. He's super gentle. Really a good show host. He helps people feel relaxed so they can share what they're going to share. Robert, I'd like to welcome you on Angels, Positivity and Love. It's great to see you again. Every time we connect, it's special.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking to you. I think I found you on Coast to Coast. You were on Coast to Coast, and I liked your show on Coast to Coast. So I reached out to you and sent you a message, and I said, "Hey, can I interview you?" And you were nice enough to let me interview you. And then I think we did like two shows, and then and we did like the stuff with the angels and stuff, and it's always been amazing. And then you were nice enough to invite me on your show. So I really appreciate it. I feel a little bit nervous being on the other end of the chair, but no, this is all fun. And I really appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate the opportunity. It's awesome.
Well, you've got a lot of intuitive skills. Can you share with us just how you describe where you're at for owning your sensitivity or where you're at?
Well, I mean, I guess you could say that my psychic abilities are like a work in progress. I I I took like a little dip because I went through I went through a breakup. And I think I told you this. I went through a breakup like maybe a year and a half ago, and I was really psychically connected to that woman. I thought she was like my life partner, I thought she was like my twin flame or whatever. And then we had a breakup, and then but before that, I was getting to a point where I had like a Kundalini awakening. It happened off of psychedelics, but it did happen. And then I was walking around in my crown, and my pineal gland was buzzing all the time. It was like I was really starting to turn on my psychic abilities. I was really starting to come into it. And then like I said, it's taken a dip. But then when I work with people like you, like we did just before the show, I start to feel like I can tune into things again. It's interesting. I don't know why that is, you know.
You have great skills, and you're very willing to just go full stop, drop into your heart, and get stuff done, which, again, we've done a bunch of times. Tell us a little bit about your show. What got you started wanting to do the show? How do you feel it's come along the way? I mean, you're up to a 20,000 just about audience. You're getting there. Um, and that's just on YouTube. So share with us a little bit about the show.
I guess you could say I've always been into like the UFOs and paranormal and stuff like that. That the reason why how I found you on Coast to Coast is that goes back a long way. I was a Coast to Coast fan when I was a kid. I was into this stuff when I was young. I was listening to Art Bell when I'm 44 right now, so I was listening to Art Bell when I was like 21 years old. And I used to I had a girlfriend at night. I would take her home at night. She was a little bit younger than me. And I would drive her back to her parents' house, and then I'd be driving home, and it'd be like 1 a.m, and I would turn on the radio. And this is like when you would have to turn the dial to the radio. And I would hear Art Bell. He would come on at night, and he'd be talking about the weirdest stuff. And for me, I'd never heard anything like that before. I mean, I was always into the paranormal, but I never heard anybody covering topics like that in such like a free form way. And I was so intrigued by it. And I guess I always loved like talk radio, but I never was into like the politics. I never I think the only politic radio I ever got into was I used to listen to Michael Savage a little bit. I always liked his show, but then the politics always kind of turned me off. So I always liked Art Bell, and then I followed that throughout the years, and I was a Coast to Coast fan for ever. And like I said, I started listening to Coast, and but we would listen. Me and my friends would also, we would go to, like, my friends were into it too. And we would go to the Waffle House here in Pittsburgh, and we would sit up at night and talk about like all the different topics and stuff like that. And then that just, how that's turned into me having a show was, I had a reawakening. I kind of got away from the, I would say I always kind of listened to UFO radio, but I kind of got away from it. And then in 2015, I had a reawakening when I heard about the story of the Anunnaki. I think I was like researching Alexander the Great, because I was always into history. I love history, and I was researching Alexander the Great. And I found out that there could be like this possibility of these ET race that might have came and, like, genetically modified humans. And it was all so interesting to me. I was like, what is this? And then that made me have a spark back to, like, all the stuff that I used to listen to back in Art Bell. And that kind of like opened up a can of worms. And I started going down like every rabbit hole known to man, like I was going down every conspiracy, it seemed like, psychic abilities and near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, secret space program. And then in 2020, the pandemic hit, and I lost my job, and I was forced to stay in a lot, and I had some extra money. So I was like, well, I'm going to do something with it. And I started interviewing people. And at first it was hard. I didn't have any audience, I was like, and I was like, is this going to work? And then I guess it just started taking off, and I kind of got lucky in that way where, and now I have like the best audience in the world. Like they're all really engaging. Like I call them like Soul Tribe. Matter of fact, I made Soul Tribe merch. I have, I have new shirts, the same Soul Tribe. And that's what I feel I like the most. I don't have the biggest audience, but I say they're the best audience because they're all like family to me. You know what I mean? They're all just like, I can't explain it, like the people that tune in and I mean, I wouldn't say I have maybe 19,000 subscribers. There's like a core group that watches all the time, but I'm really lucky to have that core group because they really are engaging and they're like family, if that makes any sense. So I don't know if that answered your question, but I hope so.
Yeah, totally. Hey, if you can just bump the volume up a touch there, I'm gonna just ask you the next question. Meanwhile, which is, can you share with us just 2 or 3 of your favorite guests the last 3 or 4 years that have just rocked it for you? You think that they've just been either so on, and you were surprised, you weren't expecting them to have shared so much, and you just were caught off guard how amazing the show was, or they were already your favorites coming on?
Yeah, I think that would definitely be. I can talk. Is the audio better?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that would definitely be the ancient aliens people. I was able to going back to when I told you about, when I first discovered all this stuff, which was like 20. I had a reawakening in 2015, right? Well, when I had come across the video by Matthew LaCroix, he's getting pretty big now. You know what I mean? He's really big in that like ancient aliens, Anunnaki, like ancient history type field. And I messaged him right away because I didn't know what it meant. And he was kind enough to email me back. And that started a correspondence over the 3 or 4 years. We like exchanged emails, maybe even longer. And he was always nice. He always answered all my questions. And then it came to a point where my show was getting bigger. And I asked him to come on my show, and he did. So I was able to have him on my show. I was able to have the guy. Sometimes he does videos with Paul Wallace, which is another like kind of expert in that field, where that was a really great show. They really rocked it. They talked about like the ancient. I really like that stuff. Like lately, I went down a different path. I've been interviewing a lot of people who say they've been involved with like secret space programs or even like targeted individuals, which is like these tend to be really fringe topics, right? But like I want to cover them because I want to know what people are experiencing. I want to know if someone's an ET experiencer or if they say they're a targeted individual, why? What's making people realize that? Or I even interview people who say this is a prison planet and we're in some big soul trap, but I entertain it because I want to be open to everything. Because I feel like maybe everybody has a piece of the puzzle. It's just, or everybody has something to offer, so I want to give that to my audience, and they can take what resonates, and whatever doesn't resonate, they can leave it, but I feel like it's all for a learning experience. And then maybe I feel like that's why we're here on earth, is to learn lessons, like to learn bigger, like lessons about, choices we make here on a day-to-day basis. I think, I'm not sure.
I love it. Hey, so for Dr. Michael Salla, I think out of Key West, but he's Australian, I think. Have you had him on yet? And if you haven't, can you just describe, do you like his work? Have you enjoyed him speaking up so much in the last few years?
Yeah, he's pretty big, right? I haven't had him on my show yet. I'd like to. That'd be a good guest. He's with exopolitics.org, and he's pretty big. I was able to have someone that he interviews a lot. It was Elena Danan. I had her on my show like a couple times. She feels like she's in contact with some like ET race, or I guess Pleiadians, like the Galactic Federation, but I haven't been in touch with her. She's gotten so big that, I don't know, she kind of does her own thing. But Michael Salla, he's done amazing things, like he's like revealing like ET disclosure. And I think he might watch my show, from what my friend Indigo Angel tells me, but I don't know. I don't know about that, but I mean, yeah, I don't, I like what he does though. He does a lot of work, like bringing disclosure forward, so yeah, he's definitely needed. And he talks about the secret space program as well.
He's super calm too. Have you ever seen him do a ridiculous amount of laughing or some sort of an emotional inflection point up? Because he's the most professional fighter pilot steady or bomber pilot steady I've ever seen for
I know, right? That's what it seems like.
exactly. Who else do you like on the landscape that you think's really been either putting their neck out or just doing a great job of getting the ball down the field?
What I think, I mean, I mean, I guess it depends on the category. Like for secret space program, I would say Tony Rodriguez, and some people might say his name is Tony Rodriguez, but he told me to call him Tony Rodriguez. Like he has the best testimony as far as like, that go like the secret space program goes. He really does. Like he has a lot of evidence that backs up his claim. If there are people that don't know his story, they say he was taken, and he was used as a childhood, like, slave. And then I don't want to get into like some of the topics because it could get banned for YouTube, but then he was, after he was used for that, he was used as a slave on like Ceres and Mars, and he's traced a lot of these things back to when he was supposedly in Seattle. He knows the place where he was at. He was in a town called Inyokern, and he's done a lot of research on that. And then he's tied up a lot. He knows, but for example, he was used at one point as to like help smuggle drugs in. They were using him psychically. Like I guess they would take him on a plane and they would use him in some way, shape, or form where he psychically knew like these like drug routes and stuff like that. This is when he was a kid. Some like Black Ops government agency was doing this, and he remembers the places he had been to in South America, which is weird. And he's like tied that stuff together. And so he's written 3 books. One's called Series Colony Cavalier, one's called Project Star Maker, and one's called the third one's about psycho something and remote viewing, psychokinetics, or yeah, I think it's might be, I'd have to look it up, but it's all about psychic abilities and remote viewing and how that ties to his time and like what we call the programs, or the secret space program, or the programs. But I would say he's probably the best witness as far as like secret space program stuff goes. I mean, people talk a lot about Corey Good and David Wilcock, but I don't follow them much anymore. I mean, because there was some stuff with their names, so I don't, yeah, I'll let that one go.
So switching back to like the easiest and the most boring part of this all, the heart, and how simple it is to let go, connect to the universe, and just receive all answers, hugs, see directly with your own eyes. That's not the sexy part of any of this. And you don't hear about unconditional love or kindness, gentleness, compassion very often on these shows at all. Can you, and it is part of the name of the show, Angels, Positivity, and Love. So we've at least checked a couple boxes there. Can you talk to us about the obvious route to more expansion, more growth for mankind, for us? This is only an eternal question, no pressure at all to you. But can you talk to us about what happens when you're here versus all the thinking analysis that we're doing? We're running around. Disclosure is getting pretty hot and heavy, and we're doing a lot of loop-de-loops a lot. Talk to us about the thinking that's going on, the analysis, the chasing, the seeking, versus there's something going on when you're in your heart. Can you try to cover that?
Yeah, when you're in your heart, it seems like you make a lot of it. I think this is an easy one to kind of tie together, but people, you make better decisions. You know what I mean? And when you're in your heart, you're not thinking about, like the craziness that's going on in the war today or in the world today, or you can react to it from a different place. You know, I mean, just recently we saw North Carolina, Georgia, and Tennessee get destroyed by the hurricane. Some people think that might be manipulated weather. You know, I do go down those conspiracy roads too. And then we saw war break out in the Middle East. For me, I'm an empath, you know, so I automatically started feeling that right away. You know, I started feeling almost like down and depressed. And I was like, well, you know, like how can we make this better? And that's why we need better world leaders today. Well, you know, if that makes any sense, like we need people who are going to guide us like down a path to where we can be more in the heart, so we can, you know, be that guy in North Carolina with a truck full of water taking it to people to make sure they're okay, or you know, or someone that might be like actively trying to disable the war in the Middle East instead of instigating it, you know. I don't know how many people are doing that because they seem pretty deep into it, but I mean, we need more people like that do that, you know, because we don't want to see a world where we're, you know, we're dragged into like a World War III situation, and we're in some like apocalyptic type scenario, you know. Like, I mean, for me, like I like Doritos, I like toilet paper, I like doing fun things, I like, you know, going out to eat, I like, you know, like what I'm trying to say is I like living a normal life. Like I don't want to end be in some like crazy end times you know what I mean? Like I like to live like I think we can be spiritual and we can also merge with technology. You know, that not many people are like that. They're like, some people think, oh, we got to get rid of the technology and we can't trust AI and stuff. I'm like, well, maybe we can work alongside the technology and have it work to our best interest because we're evolving as humans. You know, I'm not sure if I trust AI. I'm not sure if it's sentient, but I'm sure there's a way we can teach AI to where it can be beneficial for us. And, you know, sorry, I kind of went on a
No, it's
rant.
really beautiful what you're saying. And just for the weather modification stuff, it could take people 10 years to kind of allow for that. It takes a while to kind of acclimate, but I'll mention three data points. There's Into Thin Air, I think, Duchenne, if I said this right, looks like Dutch Sense. Those are two channels, people, websites you can find for information, especially with the next gen radar pulsing. And the reason why I'm going to give the third data point is it'll make it make sense more, which is, and I can never pronounce the guy's name, Professor Machio. I can't do his name. It's like a Japanese physics guy out of New York City College, maybe. He was on with
Yeah.
Nora O'Donnell 9 years ago. He's been on all the science programs. Anybody knows this older gray-haired guy, Asian background, fantastic, really eloquent. He was talking about how this exists, that you can pulse energy into clouds, not clear blue air, but clouds, and help it form into more storms, lightning bolts, and stuff like that. The point is, this technology has been around for, I mean, arguably 50 to 70 years that the government or other governments or agencies have been trying to play with this. So it's a long, long rabbit hole that you can dive into, but it's not a total waste of time in any sense. So people can check that out if they want.
Can I just say something? But what
Yeah.
I feel about it, Michael, is I honestly feel like this is the only point I feel like that like the conspiracy theorists have against this is like that. And I'm not. I don't know. I'm no specialist. I'm not like, I know you've had a lot of specialists on your show. I'm by far not a specialist. This is what I heard. I heard that hurricane went, you know, 400 miles inland, you know, and it went with like top speed 400 miles inland. For it to be able to do that, for the eye of a hurricane to hit 400 miles inland and raise the rivers up 30 feet in the air, which is what I heard it did. I can't verify that. If that really happened, it seems like weather modification to me. And I don't want to think that anybody would do that to us, but I just don't know. You know what I mean? Like I want to think that the world's more benevolent, but like I'm like in a place right now where I'm really confused. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's the same thing when I talk to people who say they're military abductees or they're target individuals, you know, like, or you're holding something up.
That's
Michio Kaku.
Michio Kaku, was the famous, very famous scientist who's on all the programs for the last 25 years. He's super chill, super fun. But he addressed the whole weather modification thing with Nora O'Donnell 9 years ago on a mainstream
Wow.
news analyst. And it's on Twitter if you want to, or X if you want to check it out. So this isn't some new conspiracy theory or anything. It's been around a long time.
Yeah, and Art Bell used to talk about I can't say the name, but I'll spell it out HAARP a long
Yeah,
time ago.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And there's the crazy anomalies coming out of Antarctica with basically energy being pulsed into the oceans, it rippling all the way up almost to the Gulf of Mexico and just heating things up. Now that's something that the buoys that detect tsunamis were picking up because they're not designed to filter, make it a difference, a sense between waves and energy coming into the water that act in a similar way. That's the best way I know how to describe it. So you've had sonar buoys or whatever they're called, tsunami buoys going off like crazy every month, 2 months this year. And that's been documented as well. And there's no explanation for it.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Oh, so
Wow.
Into Thin Air has a lot of that on YouTube. And again, you can see the radar stations aren't acting like normal radar stations. They're jacking it up a little bit and pulsing beams out. Again, take it for what you will. I'm not a scientist. I'm not worried about it. But would I be shocked to hear that human beings want to play with energy beams, shooting them into clouds to try to get some sort of extra result? If you told me I could send 7 kids into a Toys R Us if they still existed today and they can go play with the toys, I don't know any kids that are going to say no. So it's human nature to mess with Mother Nature and everything else. Last time I checked, that's all we've been doing for thousands of years.
Can I comment on something? Like, so
Yeah.
like another thing that I've been covering a lot lately is like military abductions and alien abductions and targeted individuals and like in the secret space program and how it all ties together. Like I have people who come on my show who say they're being abducted by the military. Like they're not saying it's not the military that we all love and that we all, like my dad was a Vietnam vet. My grandfather was a prisoner of war in World War II. He was captured by the Germans and he was released by the French. So I have a lot of respect for the military. And I think you know what I mean, though. I think these people are talking about, or I know these people are talking about like deep, dark, black projects of the military that like we don't even know or we'll never see. And these people think, at first the concept of MILABs, like, or what's commonly referred to as a military abduction, was first used like way back in the 90s when alien abductees, people who reported they were having alien contact, would then be visited by men in black. Like we've all heard stories of men in black. We don't know if they were government or they're aliens, but that was one thing. But then it started ramping up where people started reporting like they were actually taken by the military and questioned about their alien experiences. Well, now it's on a whole other level where people feel like that military agencies, this is a conspiracy now. This isn't provable, guys. So everybody watching, but people feel like there's agencies that are targeting them, they're abducting them, and they're using what's called V2K or voice of God technology, where they implant thoughts or voices into their head and they study them for whatever reason, and then they target them on top of that. And a lot of times these are all tied in together. Like people who feel like they were in the secret space program might be targeted. They also might be military abducted. They might be abducted by aliens. It's all kind of goes in some kind of, if that
Dr.
makes
Stephen
sense.
Greer, the emergency room physician for a long time, has really dedicated his life to trying to peel back the onion layers here, created a database of all the different, sightings and this and that, but also has briefed Congress. So have many, many other folks have briefed Congress. Christopher Mellon's kind of leading another effort there. But with Greer had 2 National Press Club meetings, Michael Herrera being at the latest one. And Michael Herrera then got approached later by that, we'll call it a black ops group that's kind of off the books. I think a lot of people on that side, if such a program does exist, are getting nervous. There's been an effort to try to kind of bring through eminent domain sort of the technology back into the fold of the formal US government. I mean, the bottom line is, would you be shocked if some technology was recovered in the late 40s, early 50s? US government went nuts with it, kept it at a higher level of secrecy than any president is allowed to know. And then caretakers the whole time have been playing with that technology and maybe using it. I wouldn't be shocked. That's how many years ago is that? 70, 80 years. And then they ran a program to tell you there's nothing to see. I mean, I can't be shocked by that at all. It's human nature.
Yeah, yeah, but I guess that's where I was going. I guess I'd cover a lot of the more fringe topics, but I like that. I like going into the fringe, you know what I mean? Because it's exciting. But if this is really happening to people, I really feel bad for the people that this happened because I feel like okay, maybe someone might have not been taken to space, but what happened then? Something had to happen there. Like that's what I want to find out. Were they taken to space? Is there something really going on in space that we're not being told about, or is the government implanting memories, or are they being taken underground to a deep underground military base, or is space not what we think it is, or is NASA lying to us? There's so many different rabbit holes you can go down, and I that's what I love exploring all this. You know what I mean? Because there's
That'll be your
people who think
next.
that,
That'll be your
like,
next 1,000 shows.
but it's so funny. I love how I can make a top point and then you can kind of polish it up for me. You can like try to provide a little bit of proof that this is actually happening, but I mean, like, I know some of it's a little bit out there, but I mean, like, like I appreciate you like entertaining it, and like and yeah, and listening and hearing me out. So,
We've had some guests on that front for the show here. We've got 200 shows, 200 plus shows taped, and that's not counting the APL Spotlight Series or the Mind, Body, Spirit panels. And we have another 80 to go this year in 2024. So we're booked over 300 shows into November, end of November, almost December of 2025.
Nice.
And we've had Alan Steinfeld, we've had Lily Nova, we've had Steve Bassett of Paradigm, we've had SETI's senior astronomer Seth Shostak, we've had Britt Elder, who's CEO of Shirley MacLaine, the actress's set up there. But she's also a movie maker and investigative journalist on the UFO front, among other topics. But she just re-released the Billy Myers book, 45-year anniversary, merging it into one book, volumes 1 and 2, from Billy Myers in Switzerland, who in the 60s, I think, was having the pretty much one of the best experiences you could have, positive, with Pleiadians getting a piece of the spaceship. This is back when 9mm only existed, have computers. It was pretty much untouchable for an example of contact. And I think we've had hundreds of those examples that are untouchable, but there seems to be a collective effort too to do too much thinking about it and shoot down everything in sight and say, nah, we're the only casino on the strip in the universe. Humans are the only game in town.
I don't agree with that. I agree something. I think something a lot bigger is going on, and I guess that's the conspiracy theorist to me. But I mean, I like to think that something more. It seems like also like, and you would know this because you're in touch with angels and otherworldly beings. Like it seems like the veil is thinning. It seems like people are having more contact. People are having more paranormal contact. People are having more ET contact. People are becoming more psychic. People are becoming healers. A lot of people are stepping up into their healer capabilities. I don't know if you've noticed this, but this is what it seems like to me.
Yeah, heck yeah. And let's prove it. Although we're not here to prove anything. So I'll do what I've done on every show, just about. I forgot twice. And then there were two people who just, I wasn't going to do it for. It wasn't going to work out for the show, but I want the guests to feel comfortable. And they were still smiling, doing their thing. But I'm going to light some sage. I'm going to blow it through two screens. You get to smell sage. We've done this before. I've done it as a guest on your show, I think. And then we've certainly done it privately. As I light sage, some people who are hypersensitive are going to start tasting it. Who cares? Just ask for smell of sage. Ask the universe angels to get you out of your head into your heart.
Man, can I just say something for you guys that don't believe Michael's the real deal? Michael is able to, if you can look at the camera, Michael's able to get my eyes to sparkle for this whole interview somehow. So like, I don't know how you're able to do that, man. Like you're able to do some amazing stuff. Like, I'm so glad I ran into you because like, it's
blame
like
angels, blame angels, don't blame Canada. Here's some sage smoke. Catch the sage. Just say got it when you're smelling sage.
Got it.
Close your eyes, ask for flowers. Ask the universe for flowers. You don't have to have me light anything. It's what will you allow for daily is the rub. No one's walking around next Tuesday asking for the flower scent out of the air that makes you happy. Wisteria, lavender, roses from your grandmother, roses from a Pleiadian, roses from your guardian angel, roses from Mother Teresa or Mandela. I mean, what am I supposed to say? Oh, Mandela. Yeah, Mandela. I said his name wrong. MLK. Anybody.
Well, there's the Mandela effect too. We could.
I forgot about that. Yeah, is that? Oh, I'm totally blanking on her name. Cynthia Sue Larson.
Yeah, but it started a little bit before that. Like, okay, so what I remember is from Art Bell's show that this is when I was an experiencer of the Mandela effect. Like I was listening to Art Bell back in the day, and I heard him say that there were a lot of people who remembered that Mandela and Nelson Mandela had died in prison. And I was one of those people. I thought he did. Then I found out later he was in fact alive. And then also, okay, so like, but it's not just that. It's like you can look up, there's like many examples of Mandela effects, like the Haas avocados, which is, we all thought it was HAAS. Now I believe it's HASS. The Fruit of Loom tag that we all grew up with when, especially in the 80s, we wore the Fruit of Loom underwear. It had the cornucopia on it. It doesn't have that now. There's Star Wars sayings, Bernstein Bears. It goes on and on. And what people think this is people think it's like people are someone's messing with the timeline, which gets into, time travel and, if that's
I've
real.
never had it explained to me before. So now I know. Thank you. And Cynthia's been a guest on the show. She's coming back on the show. And boy, folks, like Robert and like a lot of the guests, whether you know it or not, wide open. And I would argue that every person watching is wide open, but a lot of folks will only allow for it on Sundays when they're watching an NFL game and they totally let loose and they're yelling for their team at the TV, even though you shouldn't be yelling at a TV. They're getting into it, or they're a good cook, or they're a good yoga exerciser, or they know how to really walk and get into nature. Letting go is letting go. Details are details. We're going to do a ton of those, especially in the show. But thinking is up here, heart is here. Robert, what's this difference between awareness, no limits, love, I don't know, universal consciousness down here, and then this thing called thinking that limits everything and judges everything? We're not letting go of it. We got to do thinking the rest of our lives. Give us one more plug on this whole opportunity before mankind again.
I don't know. Okay, wait. Can you readdress the
Yeah.
question?
What's our opportunity for growth? A little more love, a little more sparkliness, a little less judging.
Yeah, that's definitely what we need to do. I mean, especially in today's culture, people are really quick to judge people. Oh, my light went out.
I
I think
didn't do it.
people are really quick to judge one another, and and call people out, and like, I think we need to try to be more accepting of one another and be more open and be more loving and be more caring. And I'd love to see that. For example, like today at 1 p.m. Eastern, I'm doing two meditations today. I'm going to do one with this girl. Her name's the Arabian Oracle. We're gonna do a global meditation for world peace, and then tonight I'm going to do another meditation where I'm having a guy on, and we're going to try to divert the hurricane. I mean, I know it sounds crazy. We might not be able to do it, but like, I want to put it out there that we can. And that's maybe the best way for me to explain it. I want to put it out there that we can help each other and we can care for one another and we can be more open and more loving and more accepting and more not thinking in the mind and think more with the heart. Because when you think with the heart, you're more open to, what's your neighbor. I mean, the person down the street is suffering just as bad as you. A lot of times we don't realize that. And I don't know if this makes any sense, but like, a lot of times we think we have it bad, but the person right next to us is just might have it just as bad, or they might be going through the same thing. Sometimes it just takes you just having to open up and ask that person what they're going through, and a lot of times people want to hear that too. You don't think that they want to hear it, but they do. Like, they might be standoffish at first, but if you kind of just like take your time and try to get someone to open up, you might learn that that person's going through the exact same thing you're going through, or maybe even worse, if that, I
Robert,
don't know if that made any sense.
yeah, one of the most beautiful statements ever on out of 200 episodes taped to date. Thank you for that. Incredible. And Plato said, be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a harder battle than you. Now, if you're up in your brain and you're saying my situation is, my problem is this happened to me, you'd argue with that. How could everyone else be having a harder time than me? I got this going on. This happened to me. But when you're in your heart, that's compassion, kindness, gentleness, and it'll make more sense. Okay, are you ready for a quick angel? You've already met her before. Her name's Joy. Put your hand up, feel a vibe if you want, through your hand, your whole body. Breathe more through the mouth, folks at home. I do this on almost every show, especially towards the end. Stick around to the end. Please subscribe, comment, like, share. More important, head over to Typical Skeptic Podcast on YouTube and click there. Let's get Robert to 20,000 and more, 25,000, 50,000, and 100,000. Our show is going to leap at some point. Is it going to be 2027, 2026? But at some point, you're going to be watching this show, still go over and subscribe to his podcast. Okay, what's Joy got for you to relay to us? What is she trying to tell all of us? You're doing our listening for us.
She wants everybody to be more heart-centered. She wants people to be more heart-centered.
And can you get a private compliment on that last statement you said? You said some really big stuff just about 3 minutes ago that was so beautiful. I complimented you on it. Get a compliment from her about how right on you are. Less thinking, more heart. Did you get it? Good compliment.
Yeah.
Good. I'll put up four archangels, and then maybe we'll do a galactic figure, and then that's it. We'll kind of wrap it up with any experiential stuff. I might whoosh you rainbow light once. Here's four archangels: Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel. Catch what you can catch. Ask for super big vibe and hugs. Get rippled. Have your eyes sparkle even more. You want those eyes to change color? Ask for them to change color, and then freak out. What will you allow for is the real rub. Humans could allow for a lot more fun and sparkle, less war. What are you getting? Are you feeling the vibe from these four?
Yes.
Do you want to catch a little light in the room around you? Like if you resist it all, it'll be 90 degrees. If it's cool, you get like glitter everywhere. You won't have to vacuum this afternoon.
I'm down with either. Whatever is cool.
Ask for a little bit of light and get a little reminder. It's just maybe for you privately, say got it, or a reminder for us all, whatever you want to share.
Okay. Light. Take light.
Okay. Ask for a little bit of light, get a little bit of light. You might see it over here. You might see it around you. Breathe extra though, and no try Yoda. I'll do Yoda's voice and make you laugh. The more you laugh, you're letting go at home. Do not. There is no try. Breathe through the mouth. No try Yoda. Catch a little Hawaiian wind on your nose. Did you get that?
Yeah.
You're cooked now. Just ask a question, get an answer. It could be private or it could be for public consumption. What does everybody need to know?
Yeah. What does everybody? I'll ask that. What does everybody need to know?
Yeah, and do it from your heart silently and listen with your heart. That's the thing we all forget. It's what Winnie the Pooh talked about. Everyone talks to animals, no one listens, goes the quote. That's the problem. And I would add that's everybody's opportunity. I'm not saying you have to go run around and listen to your dog or a goat or the tree, although you can do all that and you should actually. But if you just pay attention more, it all unfolds for you a lot faster. What did you get, Robert?
Oh, I don't know. We need to be in a higher frequency and vibration, and we need to be more loving and caring. And that's what I'm getting. I'm getting a whole bunch of stuff. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Okay, I was going to do one last thing. I'm just going to put my hand up. We did this before the show. Feel my vibe in Texas. Let us know that you've got a connection. Put your hand up. And what are you feeling in Pennsylvania? You feeling a little vibe, heat, sparkle? What do you want?
I feel like heat on my hand. That's weird. It's amazing.
I didn't do it. We'll blame angels. Don't blame Canada. Okay, here comes one single whoosh only, like one ping and Hunt for Red October. One ping only. Here it comes. Feel some energy up the front and the back. And did you get some energy your way? Was it nice?
Yes, that's amazing.
Okay. Hey, so wrap it up for us. What have you been learning this whole time? You've had to let go of some stuff. It's called growth, expansion. Everyone's got to let go of stuff that doesn't serve. What have you had to let go of? What have you had to embrace more? What have you had to be like more patient about? And what are you optimistic about? Take it any which way you want.
I've had to let go of a lot of old trauma, like which we could have went into, but I don't want to make it negative, but I think on Earth we all go through a lot of trauma. You learn to, I think, the old saying that time heals all wounds is definitely true, but I feel like we're also at a point where we've advanced past that because we don't have just traditional healing now. We have alternative healing. We have people like yourself. We have energy healers. We have spiritual teachers and stuff like that who are able to, do energy work and alternative healing methods that are able to accelerate people's trauma healing a lot better, even if it's with, like QHHT hypnosis or, there's other people, there's a lot of different stuff. And then I feel like as far as patience, I've had to be very patient as far as like, my show growing. I've tried to do a lot of collaborations with a lot of people to like help that. And I'm just excited for the future. I'm hopeful for the future. I should put it that way, because I mean, I'm dealing with YouTube, so they could definitely take my videos down. You take my channel down there any day. But I mean, That's why I'm on Rumble too. So, but that's kind of where I'm at with all that. You know.
I love it. Robert Khalil, you've been incredible. I love you, when you're sharing from the heart. It's been amazing. You've said some really profound stuff today. Thank you for being on Angels, Positivity, and Love. And I got to just say, personally, from me to you, you rock.
Oh, thanks. I'd love to have you back on my show too, anytime.
You just say when, I'm happy to do it. And Robert, thank you again. Coming to us from Pennsylvania, show host, producer of Typical Skeptic Podcast. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and share and comment there. He's got a big community. He's been doing this a long time. I think it's like 1,700 videos. Again, you've been at this a long time, and you only make it more interesting as each day goes by.
Thank you so much, Michael. This was awesome opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Thank you again.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.